What is up, everybody? Merry NJ08 is back with another episode of Talking Tunes with Sean. Today is a very special episode because this is a answer to a viewer voted request by multiple people through the years, through the months. And we've talked about concerts on here from time to time. This is going to be my most memorable Ozzfest moments. Now, I've been through every Ozzfest from the beginning at various locations throughout the state of New Jersey, sometimes multiple ones in a year. And I follow the bands, and I absolutely have tons and tons and tons. I mean, we could sit here for hours and talk about Ozzfest memories, Ozzfest incidences, Ozzfest horrors, everything from the shit I seen, from good stuff, from really bad stuff to fun stuff. So I had to break it down to the top because I could be here all day. Now, the good news is I will have a part 2 at some point of this conversation. We will have an Ozzfest Memories Part 2 sometime down the line. We do have a segment on Talking Tunes where we do talk about concerts and concert memories. But this specific episode is just going to be about Ozzfest because there's so much to talk about. I'm probably going to forget a ton. But we will have another episode about Ozzfest in the future. Because there's just so much to talk about. Because when you've seen as many bands as me and you've been to as many concerts as me, you could write a book. But Ozzfest alone, going every year, those summers were insane. I've been everywhere from the main stage to backstage to meet and greets to barbecuing, the parking lot, general admission, VIP, preferred parking, hanging out with bands, drinking with bands, getting wasted with bands, barbecuing, burgers, hanging out, front stage. I've been there. I've seen it all. I've went through every single concert. And I split myself at Ozzfest. I made sure that I didn't miss a band. I tried not to, unless I was out getting wasted somewhere. And there have been a few bands that happened to where I actually got wasted by 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, oh yeah. Ozzfest, you get there real early, you get drunk real early, and you leave late at night. And you're pretty much petrified, pickled by then. You don't know what planet you're on, but you've remembered that fucking Judas Priest and Ozzy kicked major fucking ass. And that you went nuts during Iron Maiden. That's pretty much all that I remember. No, but I remember. I for the most part, I remember. It's a good time. It was a fun time. It was a time that I spent a lot of time with my cousin. If you ever seen the little guys Tyler and Brooke on my channel, which I'm sure you have, their father I'm talking about, because they're like second generation. I went to concerts with him, probably hundreds. We've conquered pretty much every Ozzfest. My dad, big Ozzy fan, so he would go with us. And my dad was as cool as hell as far as bands. He would get into every band. My uncle joined us for a few. We had friends, neighbors down the street here. They would join. A couple high school buddies. Some I would meet up with. Some I would go down with. Some I ran into. It was like a freaking get together. It was like a reunion when I would go down to Ozzfest. I'm talking even way after high school, after I graduated. During college, I would meet up with college kids that were in my class. Ozzfest was like a fucking, like I said, a big get-together fucking reunion where everybody would just hang out and just have a fucking blast and just drink to oblivion. Fucking make fucking hamburgers, hot dogs, ribs, chicken wings, and just listen to fucking bands. And let me tell you something. I had a lot of connections, and I was able to fucking, sweet talk fucking bands over, and I would get bands to come over and we would bullshit with them. I used to get free shit from bands. I used to get fucking jump over to get fucking VIP over the fence and get to fucking hang out with bands. Here's a story for you. There was a band called Throwdown back in the day. Look them up. They were a hardcore band. They were awesome. They had like a Pantera kind of southern sound. Kick-ass fucking band. Greatest people I've ever met. We were barbecuing one day, tailgating, and fucking Throwdown heard their song playing in my dad's truck. Now, my dad had, this is back in the day, my dad had the fucking flip-down screens that came up on the front console. He had the fucking the TV screens in the back of the headrests, and he had just had a fucking giant subwoofer put in his truck. The next town over could hear it, right? So we had like fucking Sirius XM. But what I would do is I would, every year, this was like my thing, the family and friends and whoever our crew was would have me in charge of this. This was my job. I had one job, to make a music list, to make a music mix on CD. And what I would do is I would go in, I would get the band set list. I was into it. And I would get the band set list. And what I would do is I would actually get the band set list in order and make a music mix. So I would start with the second stage all the way to Ozzy. And in some songs, I would put like more than one artist, but usually what I would do is I would put like one or two songs of most of the bands. And then as it got closer to the main stage, I would put 2-3 songs. And then like Ozzy, I would put like 5 or 6 songs. And you would have a mix on multiple CDs that would last you almost all day. But we would have the CDs on like loop. And while we were hanging out at the truck, we would have this CD playing. That was until we went into the main stage where then we would have to sit down. We couldn't leave. Unless if you wanted to go to like a concession stand or like a booth or something, that's different. I got stories about that too. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But, so we would be barbecuing and fucking, this was sometimes even before the band started. Because like I said, we got there pretty early. We would fucking get drunk and pickled. And we would be cooking. Fucking big party day. It was like a party day. And this was before like people started messing with you. Because it got really strict. The one place that we went to most of the concerts was at the PNC Arts Center, which was near the Meadowlands, which was in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Well, it's actually Homedale, but it was in that area. And we would go down there and have Ozzfest. And it was like a pavilion / parking lot. So you would go to the parking lot to the pavilion where you would be seated. That's how PNC was in Homedale, New Jersey. So there was Camden. There was a few places that had Ozzfest. You also had the PA side too. So we would be barbecuing, having a blast. So this band heard themselves being played, which was Throwdown. So they're like, fuck, man. Dude, thanks, much love. Thanks for putting us on your mix. I'm like, dude, I love you guys. I showed them my fucking, all their CDs and my binder. Because I would bring naturally my binder with me also with all the other CDs. So I got fucking talking with the lead singer. So they were hanging out with us. And they were fucking drinking with us. This is no lie. I can't make this shit up. The guy goes back to their bus and tells the rest of the bandmates about it. And the guy's fucking mother was there. Now, I guess from wherever they were from or from wherever the mother was from, she was growing fucking Idaho potatoes. And she literally had baskets and bags of homemade tomatoes from like potatoes from their farm. The fucking lead singer comes back to our truck and goes, you know what? This is for you guys for being so fucking cool to us and supporting us, and gave me bags of potatoes. I have pictures, I believe they're on my Facebook, of me holding up pictures of me holding up bags of potatoes saying thanks Throwdown. Like, I'm talking back in the day. Whatever year they were at Ozzfest, the first year that they were there at Ozzfest, which had to be the early 2000s, fucking Throwdown. That's a true story. That's just one of many, many memories of Ozzfest. And that's how it was, man. Memories to take home forever. So we still talk about them to this day at the dinner table. I'll give you another story. Wayne Static. The late Wayne Static. Rest in peace, of Static X. I was obsessed with them. I was a massive fan. Got my whole school into them, basically. I'll never forget when the Push It video came out, or I'm What's Stupid. So, I've seen them a few times at Ozzfest, seen them a few times on their own, with their own tour. And I saw that he was going to do a meet and greet at Ozzfest, and I said, that's it. I gotta fucking do it. And we did it, and it was awesome. And my neighbor here that is now moved, we took him that year because he was a big Wayne Static fan. And I'm like, dude, we're going to meet Wayne today. And we did. We stood in line for like over an hour, but we got to meet him. We got to hang out with him. There's pictures on my Facebook. Me and him were like this behind him. We got shit signed. And we were bullshitting with him for like 10 minutes. It was the coolest fucking thing. And then my dad, whatever we had to do, my dad did it too, because my dad used to blast Static X all the time. He was behind us, and then he got to do his thing with Wayne and got to bullshit with him. I don't know what he was saying to Wayne, but he had him cracking up, hysterical. I remember Wayne was laughing hysterical. My dad was like mentioning all the songs, and Wayne just got the biggest kick out of it. But I'm going to tell you another story. Well, here's a cool story. Then I'm going to tell you a really cool story. So many. All right. I don't want to jump. I'm thinking of like 70 different Ozzfest stories at once that I wanted to tell you. I don't even know which one to get to first. A lot of bands come and go at Ozzfest. They give so many, small bands a chance. There was a band called Pitch Shifter. You could look them up. I was big into them. I was one for like the little guys, and I used to get a kick out of how, they would get a spot at Ozzfest, because back in the day, Sharon and Jack Osbourne were booking the bands, and they were doing really good as far as giving like Pressure 4-5, Pure Rubbish, all these small bands. And I mean, I remember fucking Disturbed coming out, David Draymond coming out in the fucking straitjacket before anybody knew who Disturbed was. Down with the Sickness had just come out. So I was hanging out with this band called Pitch Shifter, and I was bullshit with the guy, and I just remember I was supposed to carry a pen with me, so I just had to run into him, and I said, oh man, I know you're busy. He was just getting ready to go on stage. I says, I got this flyer or whatever the fuck it was. I said, dude, could you just sign it real quick? He's like, yeah, no problem. I said, oh fuck, I lost my marker. I lost my Sharpie. He was like, oh yeah. He's like, he looks over and he goes, go ask that skinhead over there for his marker. He goes, and I'll sign your stuff and then just give the marker back to him. And he was the coolest dude, and he like took like 5 minutes, and he signed all my shit. I think he signed stuff for my cousin too. A band called the Deadlights. I got to the same situation with them. They signed a whole mess of stuff. 18 Visions. I think I got to meet them one year. Atreyu. The band Atreyu. I got to meet the lead singer and the drummer. Pretty cool. One time I was, my cousin and my dad had just missed this because they ran to the bathroom. They would have just stayed like another minute, and I stood, and I was up against the fence, the gate, and Dez from Cold Chamber, Devil Driver came over, and Christina from Lacuna Coil, both of them at the same time, and they grabbed my hand through the gate, and we were talking for like 10 minutes. Coolest fucking moment. Here's a moment. Here's a highlight moment. Ready? There's a couple of them, but here's one. Jamie Josta from Hatebreed. He now does a podcast, talk show. He did Headbangers Ball, this, that, and the other thing. They got their album coming out in November. Hatebreed, right? Big fan. My cousin was a massive fan. Remember, in fact, that year, my cousin just happened to have a tank top on with Hatebreed, and we were barbecuing, and then Jamie Josta's tour bus pulls up right in front of our truck where we're tailgating. No lie. And Jamie Josta's, his driver's parking the van, but Jamie Josta goes right over the driver, and he goes up to my cousin through the window, and he goes like this. And he later came out, and he had hamburgers and shit with us. It's a fucking true story. It was the awesomest fucking thing ever. Here's another highlight story. One time, I was, I think, I want to say I was watching POD. I could be completely wrong, but I had a low sugar. I'm a diabetic. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm insulin dependent. You know, and usually I'll take less insulin on these kind of days because I know, you know, I'm not on my normal schedule. So my sugar was dropping. So I said to my dad, listen, I'm going to be on the floor soon. We better do something. My dad's like, fuck. I remember it was pouring out. It was pouring out. And my dad took me and grabbed me because I was like, I couldn't stand. My sugar was probably like 50, maybe lower. And he says, we'll go to one of the food stands. Well, we found one. They had like, whatever, Snicker bars, whatever. They fucking charge like, what is it, like $10 for a fucking Snicker bar? Whatever. But my sugar was real low, so my dad's like, all right, I'm going to get you some candy. I'm standing there, and it's pouring out. We're getting drenched. And all of a sudden, I look up. This is no lie. And Andrew WK is standing in front of me. You guys remember him? He was the one that fucking sang that, if you want to party, we will party hard. He's always wore those fucking dirty white pants. Well, he had the dirty white pants on. And he grabs me and he's like, what's up, dude? I was like, hey, Andrew, how you doing? And I just remember that. But I remember my sugar was fucking low. And my dad saw me and he turns around and he goes like, here's all the candy. I was like, Dad, I just saw Andrew WK. He's like, yeah, you had a low sugar too. I thought it was nuts. It was a true story though. So later on, my dad's bringing me back to our seats and we see Andrew WK walking down. And my dad's like, holy fuck, that is Andrew WK. I was like, I told you. I was just talking to him. Here's another story. We're sitting down. This actually became a funny reference, and I'll tell you why in a minute, that we still talk about to this day. We're sitting down at Ozzfest one year, I want to say that System of a Down was playing. And there's a guy standing in. Now, we always had fucking great seats. My dad was one for getting seats. And we always had front row. I remember one Black Sabbath where I was actually touching Tony Iommi's leg. Or like Zach Wild. And like whether it was Ozzy or Black Sabbath. And I remember one time my niece came with us. And she fucking grabbed Zach Wild's, or no, I'm sorry, Tony Iommi's guitar pick right from him. So we didn't go up to the stage yet. We were sitting, and I think System of a Down at the time was playing. There was a guy in front of us, and I said, "Oh wow," I said, "The guy had a big fucking head of hair." So I said out loud, my dad was standing next to me. We were getting into the System of a Down. I said, guy was headbanging. I mean, getting into it. The guy in front of us. All you could see was his fucking head. So I said to my dad, "Oh wow!" I said, "This guy is really into System of a Down. That's cool." I says, "Man," I said, "this guy looks like Sebastian Bach." For those of you who don't know, Sebastian Bach is the guy's like horseshit. He's all over the place, but he's from the band Skid Row, but from the '80s metal band Skid Row. But then he went on his own. He's like in TV shows. You see him on talk shows. He hosts. He's on podcasts. He's like all over, kind of like what Jamie Josta does. But he's on Trailer Park Boys. He's on that show all the time. He's really funny dude, down to earth. So I said out loud, "Man," I said, "that guy looks like Sebastian Bach." Well, the guy stops headbanging and he turns around and he looks at me. It's Sebastian Bach. It's him. And we were like hanging out with him, bullshitting with him. So now, like, whenever we go to concerts, we always said, "Oh wow, we got better seats than Sebastian Bach." It was like a reference that we made. That was the coolest thing. One time I ran into, I don't know if you guys remember, back in the day, MTV had radio of DJ hosts on their shows. Like, if you guys are young enough or old enough to remember Kurt Loder, but way after that, there was a guy, his name was Jesse Camp. Look him up. Met him at an Ozzfest. We're hanging out with him for a while. And at the time, Jesse Camp had actually come out with an album. And I'll never forget this. This is no lie. I went up to him and I said, "Jesse, I actually bought your album." And he looked at me and he goes, "Oh, you're the one that bought it?" That was cool, right? That was a cool experience. One time we brought my little cousin Jason. Christ, I don't know. He was like 15 at the time. And this kid is fucking hyper. This kid is like hyper. And we turn around and we're like, "Dude, where's Jason?" He was actually in a tree. It was during Killswitch Engage. We looked up and I'm staring at my dad and I said, "Dude, there's a fucking kid in the tree, climbing a tree." And my dad's like, "What a whack job that kid is." And all of a sudden the kid came down, security brought him down. And I said to my dad, "You're not going to believe this, but that's my cousin Jason." That was a true story. If you remember the band Shadows Fall, there was a guy named Brian Fair. He was known to have really long dreads. My dad, he was walking, getting ready, setting up the stage for his band. My dad screams out, "Brian!" And he jumped. And he turned around and he almost tripped over his dreads because my dad startled him. And then he looked at my dad and he went like this. A similar story happened to Marilyn Manson. Very similar story with Marilyn Manson. We can actually we're watching Marilyn Manson for like 15 minutes behind the scenes, behind the curtain, and he was like helping a band guy, a band roadie, lifting fucking crates, like Marshall speakers. My dad says something like Marilyn Manson or Brian or something like that, like his real name. And he fucking went like this, and then he gave me the thumbs up. That was cool. Oh, man. Okay, I got to tell you the Lamb of God story. Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. I don't know how we did this, but somehow we managed to sneak without the VIP pass and got onto Randy's bus from Lamb of God. And it's funny, too, because he comes out of the bus and he's looking at me and my dad, and he's like, all of a sudden we just start talking like a mile a minute, like, "Oh, Randy, oh man, I saw, you shoot Leica cameras and I follow you on Instagram and blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. I saw you this many times. Oh, I saw you with God forbid." And he's looking at us like, "How the fuck are you here?" It was like the funniest thing. And then the second before you know it, we feel these hands on us and we turn around and it's like fucking band security. They got us out of there so quick, but it was the funniest thing how we got in there in the first place. We've done that a few times. There was actually a band called 3 Inches of Blood, and somehow or another, me and my cousin and my dad got back there, and they were actually band practicing, and we were sitting with them watching them, and the one drummer just stops. He's like, "Why the fuck are you here?" And normally at that time, we'd be getting thrown out. Good stuff. Good stuff. I could sit here and talk for hours. I mean, as I'm thinking of Ozzfest, I'm thinking of tons of stuff. It was it was a crazy event. It was a crazy, crazy concert. It was a crazy festival. It would start, I mean, I'm talking in the early days, it would start fucking early in the morning and non-fucking stop. Non-fucking stop. And I'm talking, it wasn't just music. It was like fucking events. There was a guy that would do shows for you in between bands. Like he would fucking put nails in his tongue. He would light himself on fire. He would fucking jump through hoops. It was like this entertaining, like musician guy, like street performer type dude. They had shit like that. They had raffles. They had other shit, arcades. They had, the fucking 1 year Monster Energy was there. Was it Monster Energy or Rockstar? I think it was Monster. They said we were picked. They said you could stay in our tent and drink as many Monster Energy drinks as you want. But the catch is you can't leave our tent. So while you're drinking, you have to stay in the tent. I think me and my dad had about 300 cans. And I was like, dude, this is nothing. These people are all like, oh, fuck, I can't do it. I'm like, this is not even making me jitter. But I think it was because I was such a fucking coffee fanatic and I lived on caffeine and espressos. That shit was like nothing to me. That was funny. So we stood in the tent. I remember we watched 5 or 6 bands from that tent, and we just drank all day. Drank Monster Energy, probably to sober up from so much alcoholism. That's before the stroke. That's before I got really sick. And times are different now. But, yeah, I know I'm probably missing a lot of key stuff. I'll have to save for the next episode or the next, Ozzfest Memories episode. I'm trying to think. We had a friend, my cousin's friend, got stuck in a freaking kill switch engage mosh pit, got turned upside down and lost his fucking ticket to get into the main admission and couldn't get onto the main stage because he didn't have his VIP pass. So he was stuck on the lawn for the whole Ozzfest set, for the whole Ozzy set. That sucked. Here's a funny story. It was the year that Slayer was there, which I think was the same year as Manson. One of the later Ozzfests. And there was a fucking kid that got right in between me and my dad, and he was annoying as fuck. And he was a big Slayer fan, and he was getting into every song, and his fucking head was banging it, but his hair was whipping in me and my dad's face. So I said to my dad, we got to get rid of this kid somehow. My dad's like, I think I know how. So the whole time he was looking at the balcony, and he wanted to jump into the mosh pit, but we saw that the security guards were fucking grabbing people left and right and throwing them out of the arena. So this kid's like thinking about it, but then he kind of pushed it off. So my dad's like, dude, you got to jump in there. You got to do it. He's like, come on, man. Don't be a pansy. So the guy's looking at my dad, then he's looking at me. So he's headbanging. So my dad's like, oh, what a shame. What a shame. He goes, look at that. It's a fucking awesome mosh pit. He goes, look, the security guards are gone. They're not even around. So he's looking around. So he's looking at me. He's looking at my dad. So he goes, oh, fuck it. So he jumps, right? He jumps right off the balcony. The second he lands, he gets fucking trampled on by the mosh pit. As soon as he gets up, the fucking security guards yanked on him and dragged him right out of the fucking venue. It was like hook, line, sinker. We knew he would do it eventually. We knew he was going to fall for it. I said to my dad, what a fucking pain in the ass that guy was. We had the whole row to ourselves after that. It was awesome. But yeah, I mean, that happens, Some people try to like fucking, then a fucking other thing is like fucking people try to fucking elbow you to try to get your spot. They tried that with my cousin Tony. That didn't go too well. That got bloody. yeah, a lot of fucking backstage, a lot of fun shit. A lot of fun shit, a lot of fun memories. Good stuff. Good times. Good times. Yeah, Ozzfest was a good time. It was a great time. A lot of great performances, a lot of great bands, but a lot of good family time and a lot of funny memories. Um, a lot of stuff that sticks with you that you think about, as the years go on. And that's one thing that was cool about Ozfest was that every day you knew you were going to get something out of it and something was going to happen. I saw a lot of sad things happen. I saw a lot of bad things. I was there the year where people died, where there were people that there was one year where it was like 100 and something degrees and people were dehydrating. People were dehydrating. I'll never forget that year where they actually had to have bands tell people to calm down, and where they actually every 10 minutes had to come out with a hose and people were like opening up their mouth. And it's a shame because these fuckers that were running the food stands knew this and they were like charging like $30 for a bottle of water. One time my dad had a fucking soda. Guy was pouring my dad a bottle of soda. This is no lie. The soda was like $10. And the guy's pouring the bottle of soda, and there was like more than half the bottle was left. And the guy was getting ready to throw the bottle of soda out. My dad's like, whoa. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, I paid for that. The guy's like, oh, all right. Well, here, you can't have the bottle. I got to pour it. So my dad's like, wait for me to drink the rest of this cup and then fucking pour the rest. The guy was ready to throw it out. Like, are you fucking for real? But that's how it is at concerts, especially Ozzfest, man. They used to rape the people. With like $20 for a fucking rock pretzel, $15 for a rock hot dog that was not even cooked. It was terrible. And they knew they got you because you couldn't bring food in. I was actually able to bring in juice because I had a diabetic pass, it was called. And I was actually able to get right in front of the lines because I had a diabetic note. That was good. So that worked out. But, I mean, other than that, they really freaking robbed the shit out of you. It was sad. It was, like, really not good as far as that goes. But that's what you get. You got to pay to play, right? That concludes my episode of Ozzfest Memories. There'll be many more in the future. This has been an episode of Talkin' Tunes with Sean. Want to thank you. Sound off in the comments below any concert memories you have, especially Ozzfest. I'd love to hear them. Take care, guys, and see you next time.